Good evening, everybody. It's KB5MIQ, Big Boy. Thought I'd make a little random video, talk about a few different subjects today. Notice a lot of people posting on social media that they're getting their technician ticket for the first time or upgrade, and that's great. Hobby needs you in here, and we hope you and welcome you to the hobby and hope you have fun with it. See a lot of guys that are going straight 2 meters and above and not going on 10. I hope y'all don't miss out on trying to get on the low bands, especially with sunspot cycle picking up. It's not as expensive as you think. So look into it, ask questions. Anything you can do to get on the low bands, I highly recommend it. You'll have a lot of fun with the hobby if you do. Not knocking VHF 2 meter and 440. They're good bands to use. I keep them around all the time, but one for the enjoyment of it, I've always on HF somewhere. Um, Different questions about how to set up a station, different questions about types of radios, and like I've always said in all my videos, please be courteous and to the point. There's two ways you have a lot of people answer questions, and they're both wrong. One is you should have learned that in your license require study, or go full techno engineer with them. You don't know what the guy's level of electronics is, even passing the test. So try to answer the questions as point blank, simply as possible, without being derogatory. I guess what I try to say. If somebody asks me a question, I try to answer their question. And if they ask for further information, and I ask for the other way I can help them, I'll elaborate more. But you can just as easily make somebody mad with a derogatory response as a full up NASA engineer response. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Different types of antennas. Depending on your location, how close you are to different repeaters, or if you want to get on HF, all that varies by your budget and the house, your property that you're set up on, any city code requirements, HOA requirements, things like that. A wire dipole, a simple wire dipole cut correctly for the band, is one of the best antennas to get you started out you could use. All right, now I'll be the first to admit I don't run an amp, and I've been hanging out on 20 meters today, and I haven't made very many contacts because a lot of guys on 20 meters are all running amps, and they're louder than me. That's just part of the hobby. I never have decided to invest in an amp yet. Might one day, but don't really need it. Like I said, I spend more time on 10 and 17 anyway. Power supply. A lot of different people looking at power requirements for your radios. You just have to look at the amp draw for your radio. And I try to use something I learned in the military, kind of an 80% rule, and bigger is always better too. I know my first rig, and then radios has changed. HF 100 watt HF radios has changed from when I got in the hobby. Because my old 1701 was a 16 amp draw radio, and most people use an Astron 20A, which was a 20 amp draw amp. Well, this 897 I got when I got it new is a draws 22 amps. So I went with an RS 35 amp, old school transformer power supply. Not knocking the switching power supplies. A lot of people use them, have good luck with them. I think HKV's even using one of them. The LX maybe. I know he runs a lot on batteries too. So however you want to power your station is up to you and your budget. Getting on antennas, I've got a variety of antennas up. I got an understanding wife, and I don't live in any HOA requirements. So I got a variety of antennas up right now. Just recently put my Hustler 5 BTV vertical back up. It's a good antenna. I think it's rated for a kilowatt. Works good for HF communication. Skywave skip communications. I don't think it's going to be real good for ground wave. We all tried on 40 meters the other night, and Cody's about 12 miles from me, and HKV's about 35 miles from me, and we didn't have a good copy on each other trying to work ground wave on 40 with them. All three of us were on vertical antennas, but they do work good for skywave skip communications. Again, a simple dipole. I've talked to people. In fact, a guy in North Carolina today on 20 was trying different antennas out because he was trying to hide them. Evidently lived in an HOA. And I've also talked to people, I know a lot of people have done this. If you got a high, especially a two-story house with a big attic, a lot of people hang dipoles in their attic. And really, I don't want one. I don't have an attic in my house. I live in a redneck mansion, double wide. But if you hung a dipole in an attic, especially if you had a long, I can't remember the name, it's not a hip roof, just a regular peak roof house, you could actually hang a dipole flat in a full flat dipole configuration, and the takeoff radius would be better on it. Most people put a dipole up in the inverted V outside because they've got a higher point on a pole or something. But if you put it in the attic of your house, that'd be great. I've always been a little lightning scary of them, but a lot of people have done it and hadn't had any luck problem at all with it. And make contact, especially when 10-meter band gets open. I see a lot of people talking about buying the President series, the 10-meter, 12-meter mobiles. I think they're like 25-watt PEP radios, which also those were CB companies made those same things as CB radios. You know, if that's what you can afford, get one. I used a Ranger 2950 for a while when my first radio was acting up. The band was open good, had on dipole, worked Japan with it on 25 watts. They're good radios. A lot of people will run them down for all kinds of different reasons, but if that's what you can afford and it'll get you on the air, get one. That's the main thing. Watch my video, a couple of videos back. I think my last one I talked about antenna safety. For gosh sakes, please be safe putting these antennas up. There was an actual guy that I knew that got some grievous bodily damage putting up an antenna, taking an antenna down. You'll need to watch that video and always remember that and be aware of your surroundings putting an antenna up, especially around power lines. The 5BTV vertical I put up, Hustler shows how to put radials for every band on that antenna. I'm not knocking that. A lot of people do it and have good luck with it. A lot of people will mount that antenna up on a pole and have good luck with it. And tie radials off all over the yard in the air off of them. My personal experience with that antenna, and I put all the radials in the ground, it worked. I made contacts with it, but I still had RF getting in my shack. And HKV gave me this idea, and I've done this twice, and it's worked. I had it up several years ago. I got an 8-foot copper ground rod, drove that sucker in the ground right even with my pipe I had in the ground to mount the antenna on. And when I mounted the antenna, I just U-bolted around the ground rod and the pipe together. And that's what I did this time. And I don't have any RF in my shack, and I work some stateside stuff on 20 meters with it today. Something to think about. Not telling you that's the way to do it. I'm certainly not telling you to do something that's not in the instruction book. But if you still have RF problems, might be something to consider. Works for me the way I've got it set up. Anyway, if you're looking for Facebook pages to check out, Ham Radio Flea Market Trading Post, Ham Radio, any of the other ones, they're all a bunch of good Facebook pages to keep track of. And you're just going to have to be aware of how social media works. Even if you get on there and comment on something like I do, and I usually try to make a point to say this is just my opinion or this is how I do things. I'm not saying you should do it that way. There's always going to be somebody that's going to come back and give you a flack about it. So you just have to learn to let that roll off your back best you can. But enjoy the hobby and work on your advancing up in the license class. Don't stop at technician. Go to general. Even if you stay a VHF operator, go ahead and get your general and even try to get your extra class. You can never tell. You might have the opportunity to get on somebody's station one day when the bands are really open and work some DX contacts. You might get asked to participate in a special event station where people they'll need your higher class license to work different bands. I know we did a special event station back when I was still a novice tech, and they made arrangements for me to go up there, and I worked the 10-meter band. I did all their 10-meter work and stayed in the novice section. So you've got an opportunity to get on HF. I wholeheartedly recommend it. Get you some QSL cards printed up. They're not real expensive. And if you don't want to go to that expense, just get some postcards and write a QSL out. If you send one back on a contact, if it's a homemade card, I'd display it. But you're that's part of the hobby. Promote the hobby every chance you get and participate in it. I don't get to get on the air as much as I'd like to, but I've been on the air some today, and we're going to have our nightly roundtable tonight on 28450. Any of you stateside or overseas, if the band's open and you hear my call sign, KB5MIQ or WD5HKV or W5DLX, please check in with us. We enjoy having people check in on our roundtable. It's not a formal net. There's 3 local guys getting on there at night and rag chewing a while before bedtime. And when the bands are open, we do get some check-ins, and we really enjoy that. Well, anybody has any questions, any way I can ever help anybody in the hobby, like I say at the end of every video, on my QRZ page, KB5MIQ, my email's posted. Shoot me an email. Just do me a favor, put your call sign in the subject matter so it'll catch my attention a little better. Leave me a comment here on the video. Appreciate all who subscribe. We hit 144 subscribers for a new channel. I think we're doing pretty good. And we all enjoy. I get a lot of ideas from HKV and DLX, and we all enjoy promoting this hobby. I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for subscribing. KB5MIQ, Big Boy, 73.